Good evening and welcome back to the We Are Rise show. I'm your conductor for tonight's midnight train. It's going to be hollowing through. I'm a little bit sarcastic today and caustic. Some of my attitudes about what I see with this war going on and the title of the show, don't worry, we're only here to take the oil peacefully. I mean, it's just this whole thing has just become. It's just I don't know what to make of it anymore. I mean, you see the emphasis of the buildup of all these troops that are supposed to happen and stuff. I don't know if I believe any of it. I really don't. Like all this stuff seems to be so like over the top, and it's just something I can't get my head around. It's just so weird. While everybody's just basically at each other's throats and freaking out and slinging mud and just losing their shit over everything. The ballroom shed. We're going to cover the ballroom shed and more. Let's welcome my co-host Marshall Smith. What's going on?
Yeah. It's going to be, Brett, I'm so excited. I know you're very excited about this because we're going to the moon on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm so excited. I'm following it. I mean, I didn't even know it is happening. I'm like, when did we get the actual blueprints and plans? All right, to remember they said they lost it, and that's why we couldn't go back to the moon. And now all of a sudden we're going to go back to the moon, or we're going to circle the moon, whatever. It's just like, just break out the aliens. Let's get Project Bluebeam 2 going. I mean, at this point, what difference does it make? How much more shit has to be thrown in our faces in some way that we become so cynical, so mocking, so mordant? I mean, I really look back and say, I'm like, what is going on out there? None of it makes any sense. And again, we're going to cover some of the Iran stuff. There's some other interesting things that we'll say. A lot of people throwing out that stuff that President Trump said in 87 or 88, and then he's a time traveler and all this other stuff. We'll cover all that. There's some interesting stuff. Welcome in on YouTube. Please subscribe and like over there. Thank you so much. What's up? True Terran and Naw Dog over here on Rumble. Let's see who's here this evening on pill.net. What's up, Thea? Thank you for the 900 gold pills. I see you, Wood USA. How you doing? Sausage Launcher, what's going on? Thank you, Wood USA, for the 217 gold pills. Trump 1, thank you for the cookie. Good to see you. What's up, Patty B? How you doing? Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Good to see you. Caustic, yeah. I mean, I'm seriously. I mean, I'm right now. It's like I'm watching people just mudsling and beat the shit out of each other verbally. Of course, maybe some people literally want to do that. And it's like you cannot be more cynical and sardonic at the same time, because when you really think about how people are reacting and they're just freaking out over this, like there are people like all those people who are making money off, we're going to put troops in the ground and stuff. No, we're just reporting all this stuff, what's happening. All right. I said the possibility that, hey, look, there might be already stuff there. This might already been done. I mean, President Trump's given a deadline, April 6th, which is Easter or Easter weekend. So it's like almost things are set, in some way. You got the buildup of forces here. You got, which is basically, the max pressure leverage that's being applied, and basically saying, look, you need to surrender. And if you don't surrender, we're basically going to wipe out anything and send you back to the Stone Age. You'll be digging for oil in the sand. That's how bad it'll be with no tools. But we'll see. Who else is here? What's up, Quantum Respawn? I see over here. Trusty Turnip, how you doing? Welcome back. Yeah, a lot of people like the show on Friday. I got a lot of feedback. People like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I mean, we have a call in. I mean, you could call in. I mean, Blue Viking called in, and I thought it was pretty good. And, I think people should, if you want to have and get outside the noise in the chat, Marshall, what's your thoughts? I mean, do you see that you're on X? I mean, you see it's like people are just at each other's throats. Like, I mean, people are heavily divided about everything that they see. And, when you go back to 1987, as what President Trump was saying, and then his first bid or his presidential mission to run at that time, which he decided not to, it seems to me it's that he hasn't had a heart about all this. And he may have been right back then regarding all the tanker problems we had, all the oil problems we had back then in the 80s. We're just ending this. This is an endless, never-ending thing, so to speak. So in some way, if we don't stop this now, it's just going to continue on to get worse. I mean, they're using the money to fund all this stuff. And like I said, no one wants war, but if this is the only way to break the cycle, whatever, right? Whatever.
Yeah, the only people I see, the only division I see is there's really no division. And by that I mean, and we've talked about this before, it's these mud throwers, these people that are on there that
Hmm.
have like 100,000 followers or whatever, and they are slinging mud everywhere about Trump. He's a traitor and all this shit. I just unfollow them. If I
Yeah.
follow them, if I don't, I mute them.
It's
I
like you
don't,
can't
you
say
know.
anything. You have to gingerly walk on eggshells, speaking to people, talking to people in some way. And if you're not for this, you're against this. And if you're against this, you're for this. It's the whole pro Israel versus anti Israel. And you're stuck in the middle and you're walking along this tightrope and they're pulling you from every which way you can to get you on their side and stuff. And if you say one thing, you'll be labeled this, you'll be categorized, you'll be put in a box. Yes, James, I did have a good birthday. We were biking a good part of the day, and then my bike, I cracked my bike, so I had to bring it to the Trek store, and they're all being rebuilt or redone, so to speak, fixed up. So, but yeah, we had a great time. We spent the whole day biking, and I just was all around riverfront, the whole area and stuff. I mean, it's a lot of places to go. The Channel side, a lot of water. So we just was biking a good part of the day and just went, place to place to place. That's I'm not into like anything else, like nighttime stuff or all that jazz. I just like to do some day stuff and keep it simple. And then Sunday I was at my mom's doing maintenance on her house. So that's my birthday weekend. But thank you. I appreciate all the support out there. So let's get to this. Trump threatens to obliterate Iran's energy facilities if peace talks fail. And like I said, this is hyperbolic. This is max pressure leverage Trump is applying. It comes after Trump. I mean, there's 50,000 troops there that are being amassed according to Drudge and all these other things. I don't know if you can account for how many people there or not. I think they're purposely bourbon and bikes don't mix. Well, no, it wasn't like that. I had other things and stuff like that. And I wasn't drinking bourbon. I actually had a couple of margaritas, but I stretched it out during the day and stuff. And it's like water anyway, the way they make these things. They watered down. But no, you're right. They don't mix. I agree with that. Absolutely, Trusty Turner. So the whole point of this, it comes after Trump said he wants to take the oil in Iran, and as he said in '87 that this is the only way we could stop the economic embargo that controls 20% of the oil or 30%. I mean, China gets 40% of the oil from Iran, and if you basically cut off Iran as being the middleman, as being someone where they're facilitating oil to Russia, to Venezuela, to China and stuff, and you redirect that. You take that power away from them, all right, and then you focus on somewhere else where other partners will be trading each other. Maybe the United States will be involved trading with these people. I think there's a possibility in the future we'll be trading with Russia. Absolutely. And as I think NATO is crumbling, and a new NATO, a new UN type of scenario will form through the Middle East and the peace board, I think the opportunity for other things of trade and let's just say peace that's going to be different, and no one's going to be holding their feet to the fire anymore. They're not going to be charged all this black money magic interest. They're not going to be blackmailed in general, held hostage. I think ultimately that's where we're going with this. So it comes up to Trump says he wants to take Carg Island. The U.S. president has said Iran's energy infrastructure would be completely destroyed if they fail to agree his proposals. Again, this is more idle threats, and I believe he does mean that. I believe that he will execute much of this. But as for now, as we could see, is it a lot of bluster? Is it a lot of bravado? Yeah. And we're made to see this. This is part of the masterpiece that's going through. I'm not saying it's not happening. What I'm saying is that he has to make sure that he's holding on, all right, to the biggest stick as he's throwing out the carrots to them to say, all right, look, listen, let's make a deal. You agree to these terms, and you know what? You'll be able to what? Make it out of here alive, so to speak. And maybe your electrical grid, your oil wells, your desalination plants, anything on that island that could be characterized in some way, if you hit that, could set them back a very long time. And, a lot of people are using the term. I don't know where they're getting this idea that they're attacking President Trump and saying if he hits the desalination plant, it's a war crime, or the oil fields. Are you fucking kidding me? Who's been prosecuted since the Iraq war and Afghanistan for all those types of war crimes? All right. And they're throwing that out there, trying to make sure they bridge a gap and say it could be a war crime. They were even asking today when the press spokesman was speaking today. It's unbelievable. They were like, well, if he hits that could be. Who are you? Some fucking idiot in the fake mainstream media to suggest that if he does anything, it'll be characterized in this manner, and we will make sure we will lead into that discussion. Please spare me that nonsense. All right. I don't see any war crimes that have been done the last 20 or 30 years. How about Obama? How about Bush? All right.
Except in Gaza.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. What about that one? Yeah, we got to overlook that. So the U.S. and Israel launched this war in Iran over a month ago, and it appears that neither country has achieved its goals at the end of March. So President Trump went on to say the United States of America is in serious discussions, a new and more reasonable regime. It's capitalized. I don't know what that means, to end our military operations. And also think about this. If it's a new and more reasonable regime, is it something new that we're not really understanding? Is it a completely different regime? See, we don't really know the shadows behind this illustrious group of deep darks of ayatollahs and clerics and all this stuff. Something that was created out of a CIA MK Ultra box that they press a button, another Ayatollah clone pops up. It's just weird. It's just so weird that we don't really have a good understanding. Like, when Saddam Hussein fell and his sons fell, that was it. We understood the leadership, and remember all the playing cards, the decks of cards and stuff, which were really funny. I think that was hilarious. And see, you had an idea about that, okay? And even Afghanistan to some level, but you really don't know who is behind the shadows, who is actually they're speaking to, who's speaking back. Everybody seems to ask that question. We just don't know. And I think that we do know, all right, because it's the same idea of what's going on. A black, dark financial enterprise that works for the cabal. And I think that's the way you could look at it. It was no different what was happening with those ghost ships in Venezuela and what was going on where money was flowing out in and out. They were utilizing these vassal states in some way to coordinate their attempts to do things. And they're both controlled reasonably, when you can understand it, Iran and Israel, from that Rothschild separation. So the global power industrial group of these people, whoever's the deep dark, who's there now, who's managing this stuff, this is all about them. It's not when Iran falls, mostly everything else will change with it. And I think so. When he says Cuba's already done, I think Cuba's already done. They've already surrendered, and we'll just know about it later because we're playing catch up. So the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business. We'll conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all the electrical generating power plants, oil wells, cargo, and possibly all desalination plants. And we'll have purposely not yet touched. This will be in retribution for our many soldiers and others that Iran has butchered and killed over the years of the regime, 47 years reign of terror. I mean, we forget about the embassy bombing, 241 killed, many other innocents and civilians. I saw someone put a number out, and they were saying they estimated over 10,000 Americans with the wars and innocents and all these other people that weren't part of this, that were attacked, that were blown up, that were killed accidentally. They estimate up to 10,000, American citizens, people that work for America, that people worked, whether they were soldiers or what have you, politicians or anybody in that diplomatic phase. 10,000 is a number they're suggesting. I don't know. I don't know what the number is. I'm sure there is a number that they can be able to come up with. But ultimately, in some way, we're never going to say, all right, yeah, we'll move on. We'll forget about it. Are you kidding me? This president, eye for an eye, it's all about retribution. And whatever Iran represents, and we don't know fully what it represents, I think we have an idea, is that we'll get to that point eventually. So taking the Truth Social on Monday, Trump wrote, United States of America is in serious discussions and a new and more reasonable regime. Great progress has been made. But for any reason, any deal is not shortly reached, which will probably be, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing it up. Okay. I remember I was putting that out about a week or two ago. You had Newt Gingrich saying, we need to nuke the Strait of Hormuz. And I had a whole thing about that. And man, people were just like, are you fucking kidding me? But that's the craziness of this whole thing. You have all these war hawks on one side that just want to blow this place to kingdom come. They don't want to have any rational, reasonable response about what they need to get done, what they need and want in return. They just want to basically blow shit up. And that's it. And then we move on. It doesn't work that way. And you notice how Lindsey Graham's not on the planes with President Trump anymore. He's on recess, all right, with his thumb in his mouth. He's at Disney World, all right, hanging around. What is a fucking oxygenarian or septuagenarian hanging around Disney World? Was he 70, 80 years old by himself? Doesn't have any kids? What a fucking weirdo.
Carrying a bubble blower.
Yeah, so Trump said, no, we're going to send you to Disney World and you play nice over there. And he's come out now, right now. Lindsey Graham was like, I support the peace plan now. This guy was just a week ago. We need to fucking blow them up, the kingdom come. It's unbelievable, Marshall, how many people are so, this is the point of how much so many people flip on a dime about this. Lindsey Graham, just weeks ago, we need to nuke them, take them all out. Newt Gingrich, bomb the strait completely. And then all of a sudden now, we're winding it down. Timetable is this. You got till April 6th, Easter time. It's all done. All right, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not holding my breath. And when President Trump says timetables, I kind of just, okay.
I think it almost feels like he was made to go there.
Right.
I mean, because he's standing there like an idiot by himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, the whole thing was bizarre. If y'all haven't seen it, look at the pictures.
Yeah, his pictures. I might have it. We'll play it a little. Let's play a little bit. Middle East free at last. I think this was an important conversation. Got overlooked not too long ago.
As you know, we're gathered at a moment of bold action and historic decision to make America and our allies safer and stronger, more prosperous, more successful than ever before. And that's what's happening. Tonight, we're closer than ever to the rise of the Middle East that is finally free at last from Iranian terror, aggression, and nuclear blackmail. That's what's happened. It was nuclear blackmail for years and years. There was blackmail period under my leadership. America is ending the threat posed by this radical regime, decimating Iran's capabilities with Operation Epic Fury, something that nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We have the most powerful military in the world by far.
You know, that was an interesting thing. He mentioned blackmail a couple of times. I'll get out of this. I got more stuff. He mentions blackmail multiple times. And you know what? There's something there. Who's he referring to? He's referring to the deals between our politicians, previous politicians, Obama, Biden, these people that were probably blackmailed in some way, cajoled into doing these things, forced into these positions to give money to Iran, to allow Iran to recoup that $16 billion of money, oil well that was cut, oil that was cut off, LNG that was cut off, and allow that money to free flow back to their banks. I mean, that's what was done, not just all the pallets of cash that went to them. You have to consider that we've had many politicians that have been blackmailed, bribed, cajoled into this whole thing. And that's why nothing has gotten done. In fact, there was a lot of people that are traitors, seditious bastards that were working against the United States and trying to help elevate Iran to a status where they would be into a first strike scenario. Yeah, a first strike scenario. And I think right now, when you recognize what Iran represents and seeing that, I do believe that the possibility of, us not interdicting was because Israel was probably going to tactically nuke them. And they made the scenario worse than it did. And we had to intervene and we had to make sure that this ends one way or another. We don't know per se. I mean, Rubio said no. But again, we don't know anything. I think we have less information about all this. Only thing what President Trump says while we're tripping over our dicks trying to figure out what the hell is going on per se. 1 minute 50,000 troops here. There's who's to say we're not even there at the island now and this has already been done. You understand? A lot of this stuff we just don't know. You just read a lot of this stuff that's 24, 48 hours, 72 hours later, and it's already done. President Trump right now, by April 6th, it's done, Marshall. So, I mean, where are we with all this stuff? You got dates all over the place. You got all these big numbers. People are freaking out. Conscientious objectors, military, telling our Marines, telling our boys over there, make sure you file paperwork so you don't fight this war for Israel. You signed up for the military. So when do you want to protect your country? When you get to pick and choose, when it's convenient to go?
Well, first of all, we are not fighting any war for any other country, especially Israel. And Trump knows that. Look, the guy is not unaware. He was close friends with JFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he doesn't know everything and more that we already know. He knows 10 times more than we do. There's no way that he does.
I just don't see a large, and I just don't see why everybody's freaking out. And I wonder why people get called panicans. I know it's pejorative, and I know it's a negative connotation, but people are freaking out no matter what regarding this, thinking that we're going to have a massive amount because of all the talking heads, all these spin doctors all over the place, just shooting the mouth off. It's like, well, in order to take this island, you're going to need at least 25 to 50,000 people. And now you can see it popping up 50,000 on Drudge Report, all ready to go. All ready to go. You don't even know what's taking place, what's happening behind the scenes. We just don't know. We have no idea. I think we have less idea about this war than we do with Iraq. You know why? Because we were highly embedded in that war. And in Afghanistan, we knew what was going on, at least to most of the point, at some level. I mean, right now, it just seems like it's a battle of words. And we're not really, and whoever's laying the first blow or punches and stuff, it's all coming back. You don't have the mainstream media reporting properly. We can't understand the communication levels. It's only what President Trump says that we're going by. And, it's only changing. It's only changing what? The market, where it goes up and goes down. But the market did not change just recently with President Trump. Oh, the war is winding down. It's going to end by Easter.
That speech that you just showed with Trump talking about Iran, all you would have to do is take that speech and take the word Iran out and put Israel in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt from that speech. If you guys go back and look at it, replace Iran with Israel, and that's where I think this is where.
Well, there's a lot of people speculating that this whole thing is not really about Iran. It's about Israel.
More, right.
Yeah, it's more. But the more we lay into Iran, the more they hit Israel, the more that comes out, the more they weaken their control. You start to see people like Mark Levin and all these people. We need ground troops. We have to have ground troops. And that's the problem. And people are saying, no, we're done with this. And, we're walking away from this idea that you need to do these things in some way, whether you trust Trump or not. At this point, there's a lot of people that are just like, no. And I think Trump knows this. I think he absolutely knows this. And he's basically, this words of attrition that are going back and forth in the media between the pro and anti-war and the pro and anti-Israel that are basically disseminating information upon us that it's just, it's one way or the other and take it or leave it. And whether it's hurting MAGA or not, or America first, not, or Israel first, it doesn't matter at this point. Okay. It's only what you believe and what you think you believe. All right. Because apparently we all don't know how this is really going to play out. What is going to be the end game? What is Iran willing to surrender to? And what are they going to give up? Do they give up the Strait of Hormuz? Does it become the Strait of Trump, as President Trump is pointing out? What do they give up? And how can you take their word for it, whoever they are? That's my point. These are just, questions that I have. It's like, I don't even know who they are. I mean, we're talking. That's why I think that's why this theatrical masterpiece that's unfolding. It's like, there are many times and moments when this thing is going on, I just don't believe a goddamn thing. I really don't. So U.S. President Trump is considering a military operation to seize Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium as part of the efforts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, the Wall Street Journal reported. According to the report, the plan under discussion would involve U.S. forces entering Iran to secure and remove roughly 1,000 pounds of the enriched uranium. Officials told the newspaper the mission could require troops to operate inside the country for several days or longer. How did we not know that this didn't happen before? Are they foreshadowing, foreboding this? Was this a prognostication? Did this already take place? It would seem to me, yes, it did. That we're going to learn later on that this was already done. I think so. Trump has not made a final decision, the report said, and is also pressing advisors to pursue diplomatic options that require Iran to hand over the uranium as part of a negotiated settlement. That's another thing. Who's to say that this deal that we're going to agree with, they just basically say, all right, here it is. Okay, we know where it's at. We're going to come and pick it up. You're going to give it to us, and we're going to say we're square, supposedly. I don't know. Is that what it looks like, Marshall? In some way, I know I'm freezing up. I think it's the article.
Yeah, the whole thing with the Iran-Israel dichotomy, and we see it more and more. It's starting to crack. It's a little crack. I would say that the uranium enrichment, all that material that is in Iran, okay, that we're going to go get. We're going to go get it. Well, I don't think it's Iran's.
Mm.
I think it's that. I think it's both of theirs. I think they're a team sport. We talked about them being on the same.
Well,
with
we
two
talked about them
heads of
back
this.
in the 80s where they were selling munitions and parts and stuff. We know that Israel funded Hamas. We're going to get to that with
There you
Netanyahu.
go.
So
Yeah.
there's a possibility in some way. Where did they get this uranium from? Did Israel give it to them in some way? Are they also the arbitrators here in some way that basically allows them to act in a way they do, bring us on, create the conflict, create the strife? Yeah, absolutely. That's what's going on. That's what happened with Gaza. That's what happened with Hamas. There's no doubt about it that we're killing two birds with one stone here. And I think so. All right. I'm not implying
Or it's
that
all one stone.
or it's one stone. Yeah, backed by one team. When you think about it. And I think that's what President Trump is saying. When you take the economic power, the engine that moves them, so to speak, and whoever they are, or where they make $300 million a day, I don't know how much they make. It's like 300 million plus, whatever. And that money goes to wherever God knows where it goes, because it doesn't go to help the people. I mean, you heard the prince say from Saudi Arabia, just said the other day. He said all that money that Obama gave him, they didn't use them to build roads, create hospitals, and do all these different things. They use it to what? Enrich themselves, buy drones, enhance their technology militarily. That's what they did with that money. Buy weapons, buy ships, build stuff. That's what they did. So I think what everybody's leading to, the logical conclusion is that if we stranglehold them, we shut them down economically, seize this in some way, we either bomb the shit out of it and it's gone completely, or most likely they turn this over. And the thing is, do you really want to see it destroyed? That's the thing, because it's still going to leave a lasting mark from the hedge funders and all the people out there that are worried about oil speculation in the future. And I think that if you did bomb it, you did destroy it. And if 90% of the oil, that's where they make their money, and about 20 to 30% of the oil that's sold off and stuff between China and other places, the question is, where are they all going to go to? Are they going to go to us? Are we going to create new trading partners? Or are we just going to stranglehold Iran so much that we're going to leave them out of the equation and something new is going to happen? So this was out there. Here, let me blow this up. So this comes from AMG News. So exclusive, an 87 interview, and I have it, it's not in here, reveals Trump's Iran strategy decades ahead of time. The prophecy unfolds. I'll play it in a little bit. A resurfaced 1987 video shows Donald Trump laying out a tough, prophetic Iran strategy decades before today's Middle East crisis, from the oil sieges to NATO payments. Everything he warned about now is unfolding. In a stunning resurfaced video, Donald Trump, then in 41-year-old real estate mogul, laid out what He now sees a prophetic warning and a strategic blueprint for handing Iran with the Middle East once again in flames, and Iran regime shake it to its core in 2026. Americans are realizing Trump saw this coming 39 years ago. I'll play the video in a second, but an explosive interview with Barbara Walters. It aired in 2020 ABC in December 1987. Trump did more than offer opinions. He sketched out policies. His words today read like headlines. This wasn't a coincidence. It was foresight. And it reflected a deep understanding of the global strategy and that political class ignored for decades. Trump in 87, the next time Iran attacks, grab their oil and keep it. Remember, he said that about Iraq. Remember that? When we went in with Iraq, which was a major failure. He goes, all right, we're going to go in there. We should take the oil there too. And we didn't do that. The next time around, Iran attacks this country, go in and grab it. This wasn't a soundbite. That was a strategy. But that was a direct rebuke to the passive posture of previous administrations. It wasn't about revenge. It was about American self-respect. He demanded a response that matched the scale of aggression. Fast forward to 2026, that scenario predicted has unfolded with Iranian-backed militias, drone strikes, disrupting the global oil flows. U.S. and Israel forces have responded with strikes on military targets, and some of the world's largest energy choke points are now back in play. I'm going to play this right now. This was a good article. Maybe I'll drop it in there, but let's hear the art. Let's hear what he has to say. I made sure I back it up because I couldn't find. Oh, where did it go? Oh, don't tell me it's gone. I thought I had it. Hold on a second.
You got it. You got it in there.
I got to go find it now. I thought I had it in here and stuff. Is it here? Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this guy on X had a long-winded tweet that he put out there, and I overlooked it. But listen, he says Israel wasn't puppeteering. This comes from L.H. Gray. He goes, Israel wasn't puppeteering Trump in 87. He wasn't. And when he stood on national television and laid out the ironclad case for seizing Iranian oil fields in retaliation for the tanker war savagery, and then as sure as fuck, they aren't controlling him now, and they're not doing it ever. And nor will he ever will. The notion is a pathetic fever dream peddled by weak minds who need a scapegoat for their own impotence. Let's play this. This was pretty good in some way because you think about how did this come into play now? And we're just showing old pictures of it. It's the same
I'm
person.
running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean
go
we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations. And I mean grab it and keep it and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
It's amazing. How did he know it? He was confident back then, and it rings true today. So a lot of people make that speculation. Well, is he a time traveler? I mean, what the hell is going on? I mean, this guy put out this. I'll read the rest of it. I mean, the summation of how this tweet was put out was pretty good, because he said, if all the people that are fumbling about, saying that Bibi's got him by the short and curlies and he's in control, he's saying, does that look like the guy was controlled by the state of Israel back then? No, it's not. That's the whole point of this. It undercuts, it goes right through that in a second. It says Trump understood in 87 what the Beltway eunuchs still deny. Weakness invites the knife. Yeah. Seize the fields, deny the revenue, and Iran's proxies wither away. That's pretty fair and easy to understand. History bears it out. Saddam learned the hard way in 91 when his oil infrastructure went in flames. But we didn't take the oil. We got out. Military reality is merciless. Control the energy arteries or watch the adversaries fund endless jihad. Yep. Trump grasped before most generals did. Israel, they were fighting their own existential wars. Intifada, Scuds, the same Iranian-backed Hezbollah scum. Any overlap was coincidence of shared enemies, not control. To claim otherwise is to regurgitate the protocols of the elders of Zion with a fresh coat of tinfoil. So spare me the venomous drivel, you keyboard jihadists and basement politicians. Trump wasn't controlled in 87, and he isn't now, and he never will be. He's the force of nature that bends history, unknown, unbreakable, and utterly American. If you still don't get it after 40 years of proof, you never fucking will. And that's you. That's a you problem, not a him problem. Get the fuck over it or get the fuck out of the way. I said that on Friday. You have to move out of the way because you are in his way. And what you're doing is you're blocking the narrative. You're blocking people from seeing what's really taking place because you're being sucked into this lull and you're not really understanding what President Trump is doing. One way or another, we're going to take the oil. We either destroy it as he's suggesting or we seize and take it by force. And I think that's more likely than us blowing them out of the field, and so to speak, in retrospect, and just, losing that in some way. There's going to be some level of contrition. The question is, are they going to blink first? Have they already blinked first? Are we already seized the oil wells? Have we already gotten the enrichment? Again, we're playing catch up. We're not really sure, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, everything he said back then, I noticed he spoke of Iran and the way he spoke of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
He was smart enough back then not to go in and just boldly go out and say Israel.
Right.
He knew well enough that he had to go to the proxy and pretend the proxy was the problem when the proxy is part of the whole bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still doing that right now, but that's all starting to break as we're seeing. So, yeah, I mean, he knew.
Well, the question is, we don't know who's is Iran the proxy for us to take down Israel or vice versa? I mean, obviously there are proxies in place to take down Israel by them that was set up.
I think now it is. Back then it was.
I mean, but if you really look at it, when we go through the whole thing with Hamas and Netanyahu was funding all this stuff to keep this thing going, then you start to question, were these other groups created the same way? Okay. Were they vicariously created the same way, or they were created from different groups outside of that? You'd have to think in some way there was some type of control in some way. And that's the only way that Israel can continue to make money off the United States and send them all the support while they send them, let's just say, decrepit and used up equipment for other things. I mean, where did they get all this stuff? I mean, did they build this on their own? Iran, with the drones and stuff, they became so technologically immersed and powerful in learning how to do this, or did someone help them get there? See, those are the questions you need to ask. See, there are more questions than answers regarding Iran. Who is really behind Iran structurally that we all could put our finger on and name? Where did they actually get this technology in some way? It wasn't like Hitler going off to the Antarctic and meeting some UFO beings and they gave him all this powerful technology. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I just don't understand who else was involved clandestinely, all right, to what? Help build up and fortify not just the pallets of cash, but fortify that came from the United States, but fortify them in some way where they got this powerful. Because if you consider the damage that has been done, to other countries, all the regional areas and Israel per se, I mean, a lot of people speculate that they hit down the fort. They not took it down, the carrier, but they damaged the fort, and the fort had to leave, that area, the Gulf, and head back to the United States and be put into some type of service for a year or two. We don't know. And they said it was a fire. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be told that. I don't think they're going to. I think they don't want to tell us that our aircraft carrier was damaged from this, because I think it'll be used against President Trump and the military in some way, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, look, this whole deal with Iran and Israel, it's all there's so much stuff coming out now. The reality, we talked about this the other day, last week. All these normies are finally starting to catch up.
Mm.
They're gradually, and I'm seeing it online. They're going, I never knew this. I'm hearing it all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think this is what, Brett, I believe fully, and I think you probably agree, is that this is the point we've had to finally get to where people are catching up. They're catching up and they're going, wow, how did I not know this?
Well,
And
that's
now
what we're seeing. President Trump is slowly exposing everything about Iran, and we're going to see all the other subtextual stuff that was underneath with Hezbollah and all these other groups, the Houthis in Yemen, and what's going on with Lebanon. I mean, we're made to see why and how this powerhouse was created, who was secretly supplying them. And other than us giving them money and all these other groups working with them. But how did President Trump know in 87 that Russia at the time, who was floundering, all right, because they didn't collapse into what, 90, 89, the wall came down, and it wasn't until they really, did her away, so to speak. I'm wondering in some way, how did he know that they weren't going to come to the aid of Iran? By making that comment. And here we are now, fast forward, and that's completely true. That's completely true. So something, he knew something back then, clearly, and then he was setting that discussion up where, I don't know if it's you can even think, is this a Streisand effect? Is this, a Mandela effect? He really did say that. And the fact that it appears now, it's just oddly coincidental in some way. And it's not only that, it rings very true today as it was said in 87. So let's going to move on. We're going to talk about the Ballroom Shed. I want to thank everybody out there for supporting the platform. Thank you, Thea, for the 600 gold pills. Darla, a gift to the can. President Trump's the same today as yesterday. I trust him completely. Absolutely. Darla, a gift to the can. Hugly with the cookie. Thank you so much. With another cookie. Curious Cat afternoon. Thank you so much. How you doing? And Trump won with a cookie. Thank you all out there for supporting the platform. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. You can leave us your thoughts. Everything you want if you want to help out Marshall. Ko-fi.com/surfdog74. So let's get into this. This comes from the Gazette Teller. This was a good one. Confirmed Trump unveils a U.S. military is building a large underground command complex beneath the White House ballroom. Say that again. They're building a large underground command complex, the U.S. military. And this only got leaked because they sued them about the ballroom. And so they had to live outside the classified information, which we're not going to see. It was revealed that the U.S. military is building this, okay? Not President Trump. So that's why it's been privately, in some way, when you consider it, that's why it's been privately funded. Okay, that's why you're not going to hear where the money's coming from and how the money got there. It's very ingenious when you think about it. Hold on a second. Let me get this. All right.
Because it can't get outsiders getting involved in any of it. Everything.
Well, it can't get outsiders. Yeah.
Everything is very, very hush hush on it.
Well, it's obviously it was secret until it went to a court case. This is top secret, classified. This hardened installation will serve as a central nervous system for the biggest coordinated military operations in the United States. I was reading, some people were suggesting that this was going to be a military prison, underground, escapable facility. I don't know about that. I don't know where people would get that idea. Why would you build that in some way? And why would you want to build it underneath the White House? That wouldn't make any sense. Oh, yeah, let's build the biggest inescapable prison and stuff like that. Why we clean the subterranean, whatever is underground bunker.
Tunnels and all
yeah, well, that's what he's exposing. He's exposing all this, and I think in some way he's shrewdly aware by suggesting this on the plane. He's subtly and knowingly expressing to everybody we have subterranean underground bunkers underneath, and not only we're cleaning them out, so to speak, but we're building on top of it. So the construction runs ahead of schedule. Private donors fund the ballroom surface structure, while the Pentagon drives the subterranean fortress that turns the entire East Wing site into a secure hub for a real-time alliance. I wonder how deep that goes down. Wow. Trump dropped details aboard Air Force One after the weekend at Mar-a-Lago. A stupid lawsuit from the deep state lawyers forced the information into the daylight. But I wonder if that was planned or not. That filing tried to stall the project, though, through phony environmental and historic claims. Let's listen to President Trump. I'll play this.
Now, the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule.
They got another boom fucking stick hitting him in the head again. I mean, what is this moron doing? See, he was hitting his head. mean, come on.
Well, that's part of it. The ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military.
A shed.
From drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass. So all of the windows are bulletproof. I think the Times wrote, gee, some of the windows are fake. We have no fake windows. They said they talked
Only
about a
fake
stairway
news.
in the South. We don't have a stairway in the South.
Windows.
That was replaced a long time ago.
Anything they
is,
can do to.
Yeah, fake windows. It's just hilarious. So let me read the rest of this. But this was interesting. When I
Candace
saw
on channel
this,
be like, I did this for you, or some other, nonsense.
where the hell is that coming from?
Ideology matters.
Did that just come? Oh my God! Where did I hear that? Hold on a second. I don't know where that came from.
Sound like Ben Shapiro.
I don't know. You're playing around on your thing. You got to mute your thing because I can hear
All right,
your.
sorry about that. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what Ben was saying and stuff. Was that Ben Shapiro?
It
That must have
sounded
been.
like- Or Mark Levin.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but I wanted to read the rest of this. This was so good. I was blown away by it because thinking and hearing about this is insane. This is totally insane. And this is like, wow, that the fact that it was revealed through this criminal lawsuit was crazy. So the Disclosure Project origins, listen to this. Trump dropped the details in Air Force One after the weekend at Mar-a-Lago. Moving on. Operational capabilities. Classified military budgets and private contributions keep critical underground. Work inside, insulated from congressional sabotage. This complex delivers far more protection for the president. It creates the hardened infrastructure required to synchronize the largest joint operation in the nation and has ever launched. Secure communications nodes buried deep connect directly to every combatant, command, allied capitals, and forward deployed forces. Redundant fiber lines and satellite independent systems eliminate single points of failure. Commanders inside the complex issue orders that reach carrier strike groups in the Pacific, special operations teams on the southern border, and allied units across multiple theaters without delay or interception. The facility integrates live intelligence feeds from every domain: space, cyber, air, land, and sea. Screens and briefing rooms allow the President, Joint Chiefs, and allied liaison officers to view that same battlefield picture in real time. This ends the fractured coordination that plagued previous administrations. Obama and Biden let interagency rivalries and globalist oversight committee dilute command authority. Trump restored it. The complex centralizes decision making, so when the order comes, every allied asset moves as one. The alliances and defense integration. Military alliances gain direct hardened access points inside the complex. Liaison suites house embedded officers from key partners who operate under American sovereignty rules. No more leaking through foreign embassies or vulnerable video links. Real-time data sharing happens inside blast-proof walls. Joint targeting cells assign strikes, border enforcement missions, and counter cartel sweeps with zero lag. This sets up and prepares the ground for massive operations Trump has signaled are coming. This scale exceeds anything since World War II. Wow. I mean, it's pretty big. Pretty big. I mean, this goes on and stuff. Maybe I'll drop it in the chat. But I thought this was an interesting thing. It's like, all right, so we're building some type of massive underground base, military operation base that, they're cleaning out the tunnels. Maybe there was something underneath there to begin with. And that now we're just nesting it out. We're redoing it. We're building it up, and the military's doing it. How interesting that the military's doing it. Has nothing to do with President Trump. Your thoughts about this, Marshall?
Well, the way I see this right here, and this is like the Pentagon 2.0. That's what I see this as.
Yeah.
And it's a direct line from the president to the national security and our military.
Yeah, I think so,
Instead
too.
of that rigmarole across the Potomac,
Right.
which is a clusterfuck. That now the Pentagon over there across the Potomac.
It's like a fusion
They're-
center in the White House. It's all combined as
Yeah.
one. Like that fusion centers
but
at the
Pen-
airports.
Yeah, but the corrupt people at the Pentagon are now worried shitless.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, how in the hell can he do this? And he's doing it. So this is rendering the actual Pentagon, it's rendering them like kind of like Well,
Well, it's
secondary.
what it is. Yeah, it's bifurcating them. It's basically moving them aside. All right, because the command structure will
Yeah.
be there, and then when any operating, let's just say, let's just say orders are given in some way, they will move in unison and will not be stalled in some way. They won't slow down.
They
They
can't
will
muddy the
automatically.
waters.
Yeah.
They
Well.
can't
Yeah.
muddy the
Exactly.
water.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
just all they've ever done. I'm
So
sorry.
here's something from Clandestine's newsletter. What's going on beneath Washington D.C.? I know he's been very fickle lately. I think he's blocked everybody on X. I think I'm blocked on X from him, but he's got some good, interesting takes here. Let's listen. So Trump and the U.S. military have secured or remodeled multiple subterranean structures at the White House and multiple locations across D.C. When Trump secured D.C. with the U.S. military National Guard in August of 2025, the Trump administration publicly disclosed they were reviewing the Smithsonian tunnels. Here we go. And their full archives. Trump secured the Smithsonian tunnel network that runs beneath the Capitol and the National Mall. Meanwhile, the U.S. military presence was mainly focused on metro hubs like Union Station and other metro stations around the Capitol and the White House. When Trump was touring the Trump Kennedy Center in March of 2025, he criticized the $250 million allocated funds of unused underground rooms. Interesting. Underground rooms that there were there at the Kennedy Center. I bet you didn't know about that. To which he later announced the close of the Trump Kennedy Center after a 2-year renovation. In addition, now we know that the military are the ones who wanted the ballroom, not Trump. According to Trump himself, the ballroom is just a shed to cover whatever massive complex the U.S. military is building beneath the surface. Wow. And think how big that's going to stretch out. We don't know how big and massive this is going to be. What's my point? That there seems to be a focus in subterranean DC. As for what exactly is going on, I'm unsure. But I know a trend when I see one. Okay. And you know what? I mean, this also provides for shelter or cover for an attack that would hit DC in some way. I mean, is this part of the dome system that he's referring to, where there's a fortified bunkers are in place that would stretch through? I mean, think about it. It probably goes from where he said the Smithsonian, then it goes to the Trump Kennedy Center, then it goes to the wall, the monument over there. So you think about how big and how wide and how many square miles that'll be. We don't even know how deep that will go. And how are you going to have access to that? Are there going to be secret places that you can access this all over the place? I find that intriguing as well, Marshall.
What I think is even bigger is that he's redrawing the map of what they created, the satanic people created back in the day. You know that we all know, and I know you, Brett, you know that the layout of DC from a sky view has a lot of satanic shit involved.
Yeah.
The way it's laid out, the way it's spread, where the monument memorial's at, Washington Memorial, Washington Monument. So he's redrawing all that.
Yeah.
He's re-architecturizing the whole damn thing, and I love it. I love it. I can't say anything more.
I think it's a big thing, and it's like I'm surprised more people aren't covering it. I mean, you should be looking over it. I know, like AMG and Gazette Teller, some people are like, yeah, but there are certain other news outlets that are covering it, but it's not as big as people think. See, I got the WLT over here, and they have a different take on this. This is the military's building a massive complex they put under, and it's a lot broader than we think. I'm just going to scroll through it. So the project is being privately funded, will not rely on taxpayer dollars. I guess he was right. I mean, previous administration long relied on temporary structures to host major gatherings in the East Wing. It would make sense if you're going to have something right now, and then people have to exit this ballroom in case shit happens in some way. But the way this access is going to go, and the people that are going to be involved to have access and clearance, I mean, this is amazing, which fast-tracked the roughly $400 million project to a unanimous 6-0 vote. Wow. I definitely will be following up on that because I definitely want more information, but I think that might be it, because the fact is this was only released out to the public only because of that lawsuit, and I doubt any more information he wants to come out, right? I mean, you don't think he's going to want to put that out more in some way, right?
Well, he got a twofer out of it, in my opinion, to start with. He wanted obviously Trump wanted the ballroom.
Right.
Because it does need it. It's always been needed. You go to these palaces in Qatar or Dubai,
Mhm.
and they're massive. You look at when you
Yeah.
went over there. It's embarrassing to America when you go to another country and they've got this whole spread, and
I
we're
know.
out there putting dignitaries under tents on the
I know.
ground.
It's I know.
Ridiculous.
It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. And then, you have a violent city, you have a bunch of, how you have, the graffiti and all this other fucking homeless and all this crap. You're supposed to be
Warriors.
we're supposed to be, yeah, it's just disgusting. And I'm glad he cleaned it up. I'm glad he did what he needed to do. So Donald Trump says he ended John Thune's whole career while on Air Force One. That's part of being a leader. You have to go and get the votes. Remove John Thune. Well, let's see what this means.
You do not have the votes to terminate the
I
filibuster.
know,
How will
but
you get around
that's
that?
part of being a leader. You have to get the votes.
Do you have confidence?
I
in
mean,
leadership?
I like him so much. He's a high quality person. And he told me the same thing. We don't have the votes. Well, he's only a couple of votes.
There's no way he believes this guy is a high quality person. He's just going along with it in some way. I mean, have you read any of the comments that John Thune has said about President Trump in the past? I mean, there's just no way. And this is the way he showers these people with respect, which is not really respect, but he likes to blow smoke up their ass to think that in some way he has their respect when in fact he doesn't. He's actually putting that information out there to let people know, hey, all you need is 5 or 6 senators. Why don't you vote to remove the majority leader? Because there are people right now that want to do that, and they should. This guy is purposely, intentionally. The Senate is so corrupt, it's not even funny. There are rhino cucks. You got the bloodthirsty Democrats that are garbage people, the war hawks. The Senate is just full of rotten filth. And the fact they can't pass the SAVE Act is disgraceful. And it shows you that the Senate is all about themselves. They don't care about the American people. It's all about funding. It's all about running for re-election again. It's the same thing. At least the House did something, but it doesn't matter. They're going to still be on vacation for 2 weeks. And when they come back, what's going to happen? Don't know.
Short, but that's what being a leader is. You have to get the votes. You have to get the votes. And those people will not be able to withstand the onslaught because Republicans and the country wants it. It's polling at 87% voter ID. Think of it. We're talking about Save America. And it's not SAVE Act, it's Save America Act because it's saving America. SAVE Act, nobody knows what it's saving. It's the Save America Act. And you have to have it. You have to have it. The Save America Act, voter ID, all of these things, proof of citizenship.
You do not have the
Well, I mean, look, he's calling him out. I don't know what's going to happen with John Thune when he comes back. I mean, maybe, he'll have a change of heart or opinion, but these people make deals from their own self. They have a vested interest not to do that. They understand that. And plus, I think in some way, there are Republicans, rhino cucks like Thune, and certain Mitch McConnell and others that want the Republicans to lose. They want to lose the Senate and the House because the number one thing that they get out of that is what? Raising money. That's the thing. Raising PAC money, all right, for being in what? The rear, for being number 2, for being behind the 8 ball. Because now they can say, all right, look, because they don't want to do anything, all right? They don't like to lead. That's what President Trump is talking about, all right? They want the Democrats to show who they are, and so they can raise money off of all this stuff while they pass all this fucking legislation and say, hey, we're fighting against this, all this nonsense and all this chaos and all this idiocracy. And you know what they do? They allow this to go through, and they say, send me money. We'll fight to get back into power so we can vote against this. No, they don't. They do the same thing over and over again. And you're seeing that so easily, so willfully. And so I think that you shouldn't turn a blind eye about this. If you have an opportunity to vote these people, Senator Lindsey Graham's going to lose his primary. And he should. He should. And I don't care. It's like, oh, the Trump support him stuff. So what? There's a lot of people that Trump's supporting. All right. Big fucking deal. How about the guy in the Mar-a-Lago district? We think now he lost by 800 votes because we're going to show you that the possibility there was some fraud going on. And this will just highlight, I think, the necessary provisions that have to go into place to, with the Save America Act and all these other things. But unless Bondi or anybody else does an investigation, well, you know what? This guy is going to lose or has lost. And I don't know if there's going to be any recrimination or anybody's going to follow suit with like figuring out what went wrong here in some way. But not everybody, I think, going forward that is going to support or have President Trump's blessing is going to win. I think Ken Paxton will win because Cornyn's a scumbag. He's another piece of shit. He's another rhino cuck. He's another anti-Trumper. All right. But by not putting his hand on either one and let MAGA or America First figure it out, that's the way to go. That's probably the only way to go.
Yeah, isn't Paxton? He's running for governor, isn't he?
Paxton's running for Senate for John Cornyn's seat.
All right,
They're going to have a primary,
all right.
and they had a runoff. All right.
Okay, and this whole thing with
Chip Roy is running for AG
that's what I was thinking.
for
I
his
saw
seat.
his interview today. Yeah, which he's anyway. The whole thing with John Thune, this guy needs his ass reamed. I mean, this guy's a piece of shit,
Mhm.
and I think he's finally starting to realize it.
He's
You know,
putting him
I
on
don't
blast.
know
He's
if
putting
it's
him on
gonna
blast.
matter. I don't know if
Well-
it's going to matter though. The guy's a fucking asshole.
Well, the
He's
question
been there
is,
too long,
right.
just like all these others.
Mhm.
They all need to go, Brett. You know that.
Well,
we
it's-
both
I
know that.
understand, but this is what we're stuck with. I understand they all need to go. I mean,
Well, they
you
need
know,
to learn then.
well, that's the point. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much pressure is going to be applied. What is the what is the alternatives here? I'm sure there are plans in place in some way, but we'll have to see what happens when he returns. If he has a change of heart, if they want to bring this up again, if they want to go forward with the ending the filibuster because they're going to need 60 votes here. See, the problem is, everybody thinks we're going to lose the House. Okay, I don't think we're going to lose the House. I think we might lose the Senate. The way this is bubbling up, but so many people have stepped down, resigned. I think there's 14, 15 seats that are up. So we'll see how this is going to, I don't know, move in a direction that we think it's going to be beneficial. Because I'm not really sure. I don't know about losing the House per se at this moment. But if you don't fix all these other things that could be contingent upon with the actual voter ID and the SAVE Act and many other things that they're trying to make sure that they rectify and protect the institution of the election in some way, all the ballots, all these other things. Right now, the Supreme Court is going to deal with the 14th Amendment, the natural rights scenario in Section 3. We're going to find out once and for all. We could send the anchor babies home. And this is going to be another good thing. So I have
huge.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. And this is going to cause a lot of chaos. I think that's why they were setting up
Wednesday, isn't it?
Well, they
Is it
had
Wednesday?
arguments today. They had arguments today discussing the natural birthright citizenship. Today it started. And so I'm sure we'll probably hear something by,
This week, maybe.
this week or
Hopefully.
where they're leaning towards. But this is a good thing. And you know what? I think that the reason why you get all these the no king stuff is that they're setting this up for the summer or the possibility of what is going to entail regarding the election if we have an election this year, midterm. All right, so President Trump throws his full support behind DNI Gabbard for the second time in a week. The rumors of her resigning, being fired, are totally BS. Let's listen to this.
Do you still have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard, sir?
Yeah, sure. She'll follow up. I mean, she's a little bit different in her thought process than me, but that doesn't make somebody not available to serve.
Is she on the same page
I
as
would
you?
say that I'm very strong in the fact that I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Because if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it immediately. I think she's probably a little bit softer on that issue, but that's okay. Some people are. Most people aren't. Most people are saying thank you very much for doing what you did. They are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything that we want to do.
Nuclear
And you
dust.
know what? They're going to go on and maybe have a great country again. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a country. They're not even going to have a country. So she's softer on that issue, but I have other people, not too many. That's an issue that we've had great support. You saw the CNN poll where Trump with MAGA, and I think MAGA is most of the Republican Party, is 100% approval. In fact, the young gentleman that does the poll, who's very good, actually, because he's honest, he said, I've never seen 100% before. I'm 100% in the CNN poll, which just came out.
Yeah, and that's all Republicans and only Republicans. That's what he's referring to. Not independents, not Democrats, not non-affiliated. That's only that. Thank you, Theo, for the 500 gold pills. I appreciate it. What's your thoughts about that? We're going to move on rather quickly.
Yeah, I don't have it. Gabbard, I think is fine. And
Yeah.
I think it's the media trying to jab. How they're just jabbing at anybody if they're jabbing at somebody in his administration.
Well, they know that she has a softer approach when it comes to Iran. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's not, and because of her previous statements, her statements that she said to the Senate and to the House when she was confirmed. So she does have a very weak way of, not a weak way, I'd say just a different way of viewing all this in some way. And that's President Trump was highlighting that. And whether that's a good thing or not, it doesn't matter. Is she a non-interventionist? Yeah, I think so. Okay. But she's also the ODNI, and rightly so, and how she prescribed all these things. President Trump gets to pick what he deems as important, as a necessary, as a must. All right. We don't do it for him. We give him all these different types of examples of what's going on. We give him the evidence. We give him all this factual stuff, and then he decides. And that's how it should be done. And I think whether, she agrees with it or not, he's making that point, well aware that we might not see eye to eye on it, but nevertheless, I'm in charge. And I think that's where he's basically saying, and that's fine. Because if you're not,
ideas is a good thing, Brad.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
It's actually good.
Yeah, it's actually, you want that. You don't want to have a yes man or a yes woman in there telling you, yes, sir, this, that, the other thing. You need people to have a vocal opinion and stuff like that. Now, the other argument about Joe Kent being her underling and her his boss and some, a lot of people saying that he's been thrown out there as a plant, as a dupe to utilize certain narrative talking points for the Iran war in some way to structurally destabilize AIPAC and all these other different groups without having to mention Trump, the administration, or anything else like that. I don't know if there's any information that you can take factually to showcase that one way or another. Moving forward here, Pete Hegseth says Donald Trump has drawn a new strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America, calling it the Greater North America. Now, the map they didn't show, but the map covers all of Greenland, Canada, all the way of North America, Mexico, all the way down to the Panama Canal. All red, that we control. That means we're going to, in the future, there's an argument that's a new world order type of scenario, or is that a new world order from a different scenario that we take over Canada, we take over Mexico? Is that possible? Is it plausible? Yeah, I think I definitely see Canada, no doubt about it. And Mexico's a narco state. I mean, basically, you have a president with Scheinbox who's greatly controlled by the cartels. All right, and half the senators or representatives of the Mexican government live in the United States. How is that fucking possible? He says sovereign nation north of the equator is not part of the global south, but part of the security perimeter in this great neighborhood we all live in. Interesting.
From Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America. Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global south. It is a security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live in. Each one of these countries border either the North Atlantic or the North Pacific. Each one of these countries sits north of the two basic geographic barriers that exist in this region, the Amazon and the Andes Mountains. This is basic geography that we don't teach in schools as much as we should. And it restores our north-south relations, and we must get it right. In the north, the United States must enhance posture and presence in cooperation with you and our sovereign partners to defend our shared immediate security perimeter. In the south, meaning south of the equator, the other side of this great neighborhood, we will strengthen partnerships through increased burden sharing. This will enable you to take your greater role to defend the South Atlantic and the South Pacific, and to secure critical infrastructure and resources in partnership with us and other Western nations. This is what we did in World War II, just like we sunk ships with torpedoes in World War II. At the Department of War, we called it the quarter sphere defense. And we will do this again. If we're serious about our
Interesting. What's your take on that? I think that's pretty enlightening. That's I understand, Darlell. I see you. Gifted the can. Trump has a new world counter to the demons. It's called the Golden Age. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, what do you say that we all become a North American continent and we have control over the whole thing? I mean, is that where we're pining for? Is that where we're going in some way? What does that mean? Do we bring the United States and Canada into here? It would be a very powerful economic base when you think about it. But what about you think about all the other problems that Canada has with all the illegals, with all the Muslims, all the Chinese? What would have to be dealt with that in some way? How would that reflexively look? Same thing with Mexico. You'd have to clean all these areas out in order for them to want to join this continent or for us to take it over. Something would have to give way in order for those countries to either collapse on their own or want to cede power to consolidate. Think about Cuba, what's happening with Cuba. Maybe a different story there, a different scenario, all right? But Canada's not that far away. The way they're going, they're definitely going to a fascist socialist state where they're euthanizing hundreds of thousands of people. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's got to happen. And whatever it takes, you got to purge these people out of these countries like Canada and really our country too. It's got to be done. You're not going to have order until you get everybody back where they're in their place.
Right.
You can help these poor countries, but they have to be willing and able to help themselves. We can't just keep dumping money all over the place. It's ridiculous.
Well,
I
mean, we're already subsidizing Canada as it is. Why don't we just take Canada away, stop subsidizing them, as President Trump says, and they're finished. And if they're finished, they'll all want to consolidate with us because that's what's going to happen. Well, they'll all break apart and eventually consolidate with us. I mean, I think that's realistic. Thank you, Holiday, for the cookie. And that's more, let's just say, notable to suggest because I think ultimately that's where it's going. As for Mexico, that's another whole bag of potatoes that needs to be diced up, sliced up. And the question is, when we see Shinebox coming out of that, just climbing down with those sheets that are just, tied together like she's breaking out of prison and something like that, and she needs our help. I don't know if God forbid Mexico collapses, but in some way, that's why we sealed down the border. We locked everything down. We have forward operating base. We have all these other things that are going on there. And I can't imagine that we're not doing sweeps in that country as it is right now to take down that. But if the Mexican government ever did collapse in some way and you have a narco-controlled state, I mean, you basically have it right now if you consider it in some way. You would have to consider in some way that it is possibly that, or if not that, as President Trump's pointed out. And the question is, how long do we continue to allow that to take place? I went to CPAC expecting America first. We're moving on now. And an unapologetic faith. What I saw was something different. More foreign flags than American ones, a message that didn't reflect the values it claims to stand for. So what I had to do is I went backstage, I confronted leadership, and I walked out. This isn't on anyone. I was with my own decision alone. My convictions aren't for sale, and I won't pretend when something feels off. Let's listen to this. This is pretty crazy.
Now, this is how much I'm standing on what I believe. I left out of the event. I was backstage. I was backstage with Ted Cruz. I was backstage with everybody. And I confronted them on what they're doing here and the lies that they're telling you guys about the rooms being full. They're not full. They're bullshit. This is supposed to be an America First movement. It's not. There are more other countries' flags here than American flags here. And I refuse to stand next to the bullshit. CPAC is falling. I won't tie my brand next to it. This is trash. Now.
Yep. And I think that's what it is. And when President Trump was asked about that in some way, or his press secretary was asked that today, she basically said, no, it's a scheduling and all this other stuff. No, you're made to see. Now that Charlie Kirk has been removed, so to speak, in some way, in a sad fashion, you could see that the bridge is ending. You're starting to see who they really are. You see a lot of the grifters there. You see a lot of people tied to Epstein. You see Matt Schlapp makes quite a pretty penny, him and his wife, on this whole thing that they do. And I think overall, when you really break this down in some way, they didn't have any new people. They had a couple of people from the administration, but that's it. They didn't draw crowds like they previously did. There wasn't big lineups or people. You see Megyn Kelly wasn't there. Tucker wasn't there. You start to see the separation. All right. Who is CPAC and who do they really represent? So it's not like all the grifters are there, but there's a lot of people that were pro other countries. Pro Israel was on the move in the CPAC area. And I think that's one reason why it did not show what it was in the past, because you didn't have competing voices to make arguments about it. You saw Josh Hammer make his stay and his stand about anti-Semitism is all over the place. It's on the rise and all that stuff. Yeah, and there's nobody in CPAC, and you wonder why that is.
Well, and you know what? The same thing is happening. It's going to happen, and probably already is, to Turning Point USA. I mean, I don't watch this show. I don't know how they even have this news show on Real America's Voice anymore, using Charlie Kirk's name.
Yeah,
you got
great.
three.
It's a
You
total
got three
grift.
bozos sitting there
Oh my
that
god,
did nothing but take part.
dude! I was
Well,
watching Lionel the other day, and Lionel was saying, Lionel from Lionel Nation, he was saying, he's like, dude, like we've been talking about. He's like, all it takes is one guy in the jury. It's not about finding him innocent, but all it takes is one person to find him not guilty, and game over. And if he walks in some way, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. And he's predicting that he's going to walk. Wow, that Tyler Roberts is going to walk after all this stuff. It's quite extraordinary that we all feel the same way.
we didn't do it, so
Yeah, I mean,
don't
obviously
try
he
to
didn't.
sell me your fucking baked potato.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no one buys it. How about this one? Another nut job that's being put on blast. And I have to say this right now. She is. So GBPH puts this out. This woman is a Satanist. She is so fucking out wackadoo. I mean, this is what I don't like about these people. And the fact that she's in Trump's inner circle in this fake tweet. And then the more and more she speaks and talks, more and more you want to walk away from this person. White House spiritual advisor Paula White is urging Christians in America to donate their hard-earned money to Israel this Holy Week. Yeah. Can you believe that? They're grifting off this too. Another fucking grifter. She claims those who will give in return will receive God's tithe, and his. So basically, we have to pay alms to the poor in order to get in God's good graces, and that's it. That type of medieval 14th, 15th century bullshit is still going on, and they're still sheckling for Israel. My God, these people suck. Let's play this.
God's tithe and his offering. I believe that it's so important to honor God with his tithe.
Yeah,
That's
Darla
the first
L.
tenth of your gross
Fucking
income.
pure. Batshit
And an
crazy.
offering, that's free will. And as you do,
Free will.
you support Paula White Ministry. And I say this, it takes money for ministry. And so when you begin to think of the masses of people, from single moms to human trafficking victims to going into the prison to feeding over 30 million pounds of food, think about that in the last 4 years. When you think about the difference that you make by your giving, you've helped build a moshav, a village in Israel, from the horrific attacks of October 7th. And the greatest thing you do is take the gospel around the world.
Isn't she married to that guy? He's from Journey.
God still uses a voice.
That guy playing the piano is her husband.
It's anointed to
He's from
penetrate
Journey.
the hearts of men and women and bring them to the salvation knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Thank you for being that person, that Barnabas. Thank you for being that person that's holding up the hands for the gospel to go forth. So go ahead and click on that link right there on the screen, or you can give by Cash App or Venmo or PayPal or however you want to. Thank you for being a generous.
Wow. Selling your soul. She's basically saying, if you give money, that my powers invested in me will help you accelerate into the other world, into the other region. So you'll become closer to God. You'll have a good seat at the table. Are you buying this fucking shit? My God, it's disgusting. But they're all on blast. They're all on blast, showing who they are, and it's embarrassing, Marshall. I'm just so sick of these people, and it's very shameful. Okay, not shameless. I saw you, Darla. You had to. Yeah, normies need to turn off the TV and wake up. Yep. There's nothing on. You can't watch the news. Can't. There's just nothing there. And what is there is selling you another lie. It's selling you that shit. You know, I don't know what
I
else
think
to say to
Trump
anybody
has
out
got
there.
there for a reason. He wants to blast this lady.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, he's
You
got
think
her
Trump?
on
You think
blast.
Trump really believes in any of this stuff? What is he, Episcopalian? He is like so far removed from this fucking TV Angelist. It's unbelievable. And then you got the husband in the background playing the light piano from Journey. I think he's from Journey. How the fuck did that happen? Oh my
It's like
God!
Jim
it's
and
somewhere.
Tammy Faye Baker.
What? Yeah, if you know the backstory of her, you know that she's a total fucking grifter. Audrey over here on YouTube. It's not just Thune. There's some other Republican senators who are currently against ending the filibuster. Yeah, Murkowski.
All
yeah,
of them are.
Yeah, Tillis, Kramer, Curtis, Moran, McConnell. A lot of these people are up for re-election. Collins, yeah. So when you really think about all these people, yes, of course, it's not just that. My mom is 82 and it's a struggle. Hog Lake 71. Okay. Oh, you're talking about this when asked about body Christ. They made my father's house a den of thieves. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. So here we are, right-wing pundits bash Iran supporters for stifling criticism. The most shameless gaslighting campaign. Conservative media stars Matt Walsh and Ann Coulter pushed back on the alleged pro-Iran war commentaries and outlets on Sunday. This series, Coulter took aim at Fox News and its coverage for the war. Watching Fox News assures viewers the Iran war is going super well and Trump is total stud. It's like watching the same network assure viewers that Dominion voting systems rigged the 2020 election and Trump was the winner. That's a good one, Coulter wrote on X. That's funny. Fox News agreed to pay Dominion voting systems $787.5 million in 2023 to settle a defamation lawsuit alleging its host made false claims about the 2020 election. Oh, someone's going to get their money back. So former rep MTG, who had a very public fallout with Trump over the Epstein files, replied to Cutler, writing, Fox News is now fake news, brainwashing boomers to support what we voted for. See the back and forth, all the intermediary bullshit, the nonsensical fights about what channel's better to watch and who's doing what to what and who's grifting off what off the other. So you got people bitching off who's the bigger grift, who's the bigger liar, and come over here and watch this or listen to me. So some of us expressed great concern about the Iran war when it was first launched and where we were shouted down and condemned as panicans and black pillars and even Islamist sympathizers. But it's pretty clear from now on how things have gone, and our concerns were absolutely reasonable and legitimate. Maybe Trump will get us out of this thing soon and still won't spiral into a long and drawn-out war. But even if that happens, I'm not convinced it will know that no thoughtful person can deny at this point that the spiral and long war scenarios is a very much possibility. No reasonable person at this stage can say that our concerns were irrational. What looks irrational now and always did is the demand for blind allegiance. Remember, I talk about the blind loyalists and unthinking trust. Remember, I talk about critical thinking. That's what he's saying. He's twisting those words. And our elected leaders, as though we are called to have faith in politicians like we have faith in God. He's trying to make that point and say, be careful about who you follow, why you follow him in such a fashion. Listen, I'm not going to take this guy's. First of all, President Trump has not proven to me in any other way, all right, that he's deviated off path. All these people like to assign him. There is a whole thing in place, a whole contingent that is taking place. We're watching Israel and Iran destroy each other. We're watching the fall of Iran, the stranglehold of an economic powerhouse that we're bringing down. We're resettling the Middle East. We're bringing a peace board on. The UN is coming away. We're going to see the Federal Reserve collapse. We're seeing a lot of great things, but you don't want to see it. You want to sell that fucking shit to every person, scare the bejesus out of it. It's over. Just give up. Put your head in the sand like an ostrich, all right, and get butt fucked. Yeah, that's it. That's the bottom line. That's what they want. And that fear porn is not going to fly anymore. It's not. Whatever you think about the Iran war, I guarantee you have no idea about it. Okay? And that includes myself. I'm not going to be a hypocrite or an opportunist about that. I am saying that realistically. There are things that we just don't process at the moment or can parlay into that you think you know, or I think I know, or Marshall thinks he knows that is better than what we can see and that we can understand. But the fallout economically is going to change things. I do believe economically the fall of Iran will change the structure about how people do business in the Middle East. how people work together and trade. Okay, that's number one. And think about other countries that are going to be brought into this partition: Russia and China. So you removed Iran, and now you put the United States there, and now they're trading with these two big powerhouses while we're brokering peace in the Middle East. It's something that could be quite amazing.
It's a complete restructuring of the Middle East that should have been done a long time ago, and Israel is not part of it.
No,
They
they're
are not
gonna
going to be part of it.
No,
Maybe
no,
to
no,
a
no.
small degree, but they're not.
No,
The whole thing is being redrawn, just like our hemisphere right here
Yep.
in North, Central, and South America. We are redoing the whole world. Trump is doing it.
He don't
That's
care
what
about
I'm
poll
seeing.
numbers. He don't care about any of this stuff. He doesn't care because when his time is up here, he's not going to run anymore. He's not going to do any more trolling. He's setting this up for the future. He's setting this up for the next administration. He's setting this up for the United States of America. You have to see this, the bigger picture. And I think a lot of people, so we don't have to go through this again. Once this is set up and ready to go, it's all smooth sailing. I don't see 50,000 troops anywhere. I don't see 100,000 troops anywhere. It's all BS. And if you read the Drudge Report or any New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, all right, they have not proven one thing or another. In fact, I don't think they're going to tell you anything about what's going on. I just don't. And they probably shouldn't at this point. Well, how transparent you can be. Why? Because the media is going to make it worse than what it is. And you know what? That perception management is not what you want. Okay? And I also think in some way where people say the war is going well and where they think it's not. Well, how do you know it's not going well? Yes, I heard the rumors about the USS carrier Gerald Ford, that it may have been hit, may or may not have been a hit. I know Fuentes went off on it. Other people said, but they don't have any proof. It's all speculation that there was a fire in one of the rooms or one of the areas and stuff, and that this caused areas. Maybe it was hit. I don't know. You don't know either. They're not going to release it. So if you want to run away with that, be my guest. But I'm not going to fucking put that fucking agitprop out there. I'm not going to suggest in some way that I utilize that malinformation or misinformation that no one can what? They can back this up, but yet they want to run with that in some way. And I think in some way, those provocations that are continually to go on and on and on is problematic. And I think that is what is not splitting MAGA. That is basically what? It's moving the mainstream media or creating the media to give them more thoughts to go after President Trump, again, to presuppose a narrative that they don't know. We don't know what is going on. President Trump says we're winning. Do you believe him? Yes or no? And if we were losing, you think he's going to come out and tell you we're losing anyway? I mean, can you imagine that we're losing? He goes up there on stage. We got weapons. Only a handful of people. We got weapons and technology only a handful of people know about. I guarantee. Well, fucking space lasers. We got shit that's all over the place. And you just don't know about it. But you're supposed to presuppose that people who fucking sit there and talk to you with this agitprop and this misinformation and this disinformation and this deceptive quality that they have inside sources that told them that this was hit or told them we've lost 10,000 here or told them we lost here. You just don't know. You don't know. And you have to wait to see, all right, while we get out of this fog of war that has been, let's just say, put in there by influencers all over the place, Marshall.
Compare everything that's going on right now. Think about this. Back in the 70s, you were watching the Apollo mission go up with some kind of a vehicle, like a dune buggy. And they brought it up there with a dune buggy. They put the dune buggy together.
And you bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
You bought that shit, and you're like, even when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, 8 years old or some shit. And I'm seeing this thing ride around in this fucking thing. What the fuck? And I'm like, it looked like they had an umbrella that tried to make it look like it was a radar thing. You know, I'm looking at thing flopping around.
Radar detector to tell me where the cops is. I know.
Yeah, and I'm like, this shit is fucking fake as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a kid, and I'm like, I thought this was I was so excited the first time when I was younger, and they first went up, beep, beep, and they landed. Man is taking his first step on the moon, yada yada, and I thought it was cool. Then they did the buggy thing, the fucking dune buggy, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's, and I was a kid. You guys, that's what this is. That's what this is.
Yeah. You can't believe everything you see or hear. I mean, you can't. I mean, you're going to basically have to, make a determination on what you believe is true or not true. I mean, I don't think anybody can tell you. You know what I'm saying? You either have to feel it in your bones or don't. And I think that's the best way you could interpret things. That's why I'm saying it's best to stay out of all these different types of control mechanisms or patterns that they want to categorize you or bunch you in some way. And I think by just being not aloof in the sense of being aloof in general, but being aloof from these, outer brackets or inner brackets that presume to think they know a lot. That's what I would be careful with. Be like the guy that used parental control. Thank you, Darla, for the cookie to block
Phone
CNN.
call to Nixon.
So his mom couldn't match it anymore. That's funny. Good one. That's really funny. Thank you, Darla.
It's calling into Nixon. The phone call to Nixon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how did you kidding me? Your fucking cell phone can't even fucking work, man.
Yeah, I know.
And they were calling it from the moon.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know. It's just crazy. It's just honestly. Yeah. So you're telling me we had technology back then that was possible, but we're still on rotary phones. We're on dial-ups. We didn't even have, at that time, cordless phones. You had sat phones. You know what gets me about that is watching old World War II movies. And I bring up Kelly's Heroes, where there's a scene where Clint Eastwood is talking. Okay, they're ringing it up, and he's talking. I'm pinned down over here. Oh, I'm pinned down over here. What landline are you on? What is that thing you're ringing up that you're going ding, ding, ding? You're talking to somebody. I mean, improvised walkie-talkies. You're picking up something from the ionosphere, which was a great scene by Carol O'Connor, played by supposedly like a Patton. What I'm saying is that it's ludicrous to think that they were actually talking in some way. How were they communicating? What were they tapped into some line? They didn't have satellites at that time. I mean, what was it that they were utilizing in some way to communicate? I find that even highly plausible, highly suggestive in some way that it's weird. All right, we got to get to this. Stand down order admitted on record. Israeli soldier testifies to the Knesset Committee, which is their Congress. We received orders from the Rise Brigade commanders on October 7th to cancel all patriot patrols along Gaza border from 5:20 to 9 a.m. So the dam is breaking now.
אתה במוצב. אצלנו ה7 באוקטובר מתחיל לפני 6:30. אני הייתי לוחם במחלקת מרגמות בגדוד 13, גולני, ובאותו לילה אני, יותם סרור, הסמל שלי תמר בן יהודה, זיכרונו לברכה, שלושתנו עושים לילה לבן. הרשינו לעצמנו בשבתות וחגים במיוחד, לעשות לילה לבן עד לכוננות עם שחר, ואתם יודעים, יש לנו זמן לישון מחלקת מרגמות, עד לכוננות הבאה. אז ב-5:20 בבוקר, אנחנו יושבים ליד הקשר כדי לא להעיר מאזין, והסמג"ד שלי, ניר ברוינפלק, שגם הוא נפצע קשה, וברוך השם הוא שרד, פתאום עולה בקשר בהודעה מוזרה. כל התחנות, לא יודע למה, לא יודע איך, משהו בסגנון הזה, אין סיור בגדר עד 9 בבוקר.
באיזה שעה זה?
5:20 בבוקר.
כל תחנות נשארים כאן משנה, אז מבחינת קרקע ואויב אין לנו דברים משמעותיים. מבחינת כוחותינו יצאה הנחיה מהחטיבה שעד השעה 9 בבוקר מול הערכת המצב, אף כלי לא מגיע לבורמה. ואני חוזר שוב, עד 9 בבוקר ואל מול הערכת המצב, אף כלי לא לבורמה. נמצאים בנקודות זינוק אחוריות, מהנחיית חטיבה.
I gotta move on. I don't. It's long-winded, and I think you get the gist of it. Stand-down orders were all over the place, and they were picked up. The comms were there. Question is why? All right, and then we'll get to it. Here comes Matt Gaetz. All right, on OAN. This was pretty good. Let's hear what he has to say here about Bibi in this. Matt Gaetz would have been a good attorney general. Never forget, Netanyahu funded Hamas with $35 million a month, and Charlie Kirk suspected there was a stand-down order allowing October 7th as a pretext to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Now, I'm not saying that they killed him. I know there's a lot of type of symmetry to, presume a great deal that, Bibi had him killed or Israel did it in some way to cover this up. I don't have any proof of that, and I'm not even going to speculate that's the case. I can see how people infer and make certain plausible suggestions, but without any evidence, you cannot make that assertion, and I'm not going to do that, all right, until there's more evidence to come out. But God forbid, and I will leave it at that did happen, and that was the case, that state over there would cease to exist. I can promise you that. Because there would be people clamoring, even the ones that are the SEALs, the baby SEALs, the ones that are anti this or anti that or anti-war, anti-interventionist or anti whatever, or let's just say anti-Israel. I guarantee you those people would be telling Trump, nuke him. Oh, yeah. So the way the pendulum would swing on this would go from here all the way to the other side. It would be so ugly. And I don't think we'll ever get the information pragmatically as we see it, whether it's them or not. I'm not saying it's them, but I just don't think that we're going to know. I think if Tyler Robinson, in some way, as a lot of people are suggesting, does reasonably doubt, he's not proven innocent. He's just basically don't find him guilty through some reasonable doubt, and he walks. This is gonna bring in a whole new thing. What is the FBI doing? What other information they found? Because he wasn't part of a conspiracy. They said he did it. So if you can't prove that he was part of a conspiracy and you're assigning him and him alone to do it, and he walks, then what is the fallout from that? Consider that. Here we go.
The story Israel was trying to tell the world about October 7th.
I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order?
Wow.
6 hours? I don't believe it. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled.
There's also another country that asked Qatar to support Hamas. It was Israel. In 2018, Netanyahu himself sent a secret letter to the Qatari leadership. In that letter, he urged Qatar to deliver $30 million a month to Gaza. He said this funding would help reduce the motivation of terror groups to carry out attacks, prevent a humanitarian crisis, and preserve regional stability. So in May of 2025, Netanyahu publicly admitted that since 2018, his government had allowed Qatar to transfer money to Hamas in Gaza, and that was according to his own request. That policy was approved by the full Israeli security cabinet. So if you believe Netanyahu himself, he went from asking Qatar to send money to Hamas to bombing Qatar for not extraditing Hamas.
He doesn't think this serves Israel's interests or the United States' interests.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Qatar just gifted the United States a $400 million jet. Israel sending bombs in return is one heck of a thank you note. On Capitol Hill, Florida Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz is deeply concerned about foreign governments running influence campaigns online in the United States.
It is totally rampant, allowing foreign governments to just perpetrate these platforms, all of these bots, all of the time to weaponize Americans. You see what's going on here? This is a byproduct of all of that. What's going on in the streets is a byproduct of all of that.
Well, that just sounds awful. We wanted to learn more about these foreign governments that Representative Moskowitz was talking about and their paid influence operations. And lo and behold, a foreign country has just signed a $45 million deal with Google to spread propaganda. It's Israel. If you don't care at all about Israel or Qatar, you should at least care about U.S. military equipment being used in the most stupid of ways. Israel has the F-35. Qatar has U.S. Patriot missile batteries. Is American hegemony in 2025 really watching our own air defenses shooting down U.S.-funded bombs launched from U.S.-made planes? This reminds me of Syria, when forces funded by the Pentagon were fighting forces funded by the CIA. This week, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson held a meeting with AIPAC and Jewish leaders on Capitol Hill. Several reports out of that meeting suggest Speaker Johnson committed to screen potential congressional candidates to ensure they are aligned with the current policies of the Israeli government. I asked Speaker Johnson about this, and he offered this response on record exclusively to our program. When asked if he was going to screen candidates in this way, he wrote back, "No. Shocking that I would be misquoted. The discussion was about general support for Israel, which has obviously been declining. Christians are called to support the people and nation of Israel, but not necessarily its politics." Speaker Johnson didn't fall into this trap.
Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian,
he's hanging out with Paula White way too much, or Paula Weiss, whatever the fuck her name is. I mean, dude, honestly, is he going to the same fucking evangelical? I mean, he is just as batshit crazy as she is. I mean, these people are just nuts.
I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the script.
Find it. All right, I'm enough with this. Moving on and stuff. All right, your thoughts about that? We'll just keep going, but I got so much more. But
no, it's ridiculous.
It's
I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it. I mean,
yeah.
Look, Ted Cruz is a cuck.
Yeah.
He's a cuck for Israel,
Mhm.
and that's really the main thing. These people are being identified, Brett. They're showing their ass, so to speak. And look, man, people got to see it. So Ted Cruz has been a long time. He's got a whole, his history. This guy's, he's out there.
No, I know. And, look, everybody's being put on blast for a reason. And, once they get the mic in their hand, they're showing you who they are and their loyalties and everything else and stuff. And like I said, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter to you and I. You're just seeing it. And now you know that these people aren't really on your side. They don't really care about you. All right. They have a certain agenda, and that agenda is not us. Okay. I mean, the idea that Israel agenda is for them in a lot of ways. And what we're just showing you right now is that some of the stuff that's the matrix of all this is cracking. Here's another thing. Israeli government officials openly accused Netanyahu for October 7th. Wow. And this comes out today, actually on Saturday, my birthday. Here it is.
האסון
this is all
הגדול
breaking.
ביותר שידעה המדינה קרה במשמרתך. גם אם אתה ישן עם מצפון נקי, לא נשכח לך, נזעק את ההפקרה, תקום ועדת חקירה ממלכתית. אני מאשימה אותך, בנימין נתניהו, במימון החמאס, בבניית הטרור, ועצימת העיניים האיום הקיומי עלינו, בהפקרת ביטחון המדינה כמדיניות. ביטחון הוא לא אינסטרומנט פוליטי, שמעת? הוא מעל הכל. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הפכת את הציבור העובד והמשרת לחמורו של משיח. יצרת את ברית ההשתמטות והסיפוח. גבורת הלוחמים נעלמה מעיניך, אבל לא מעינינו. היא האור שאיתו נבנה מחדש. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, השחיתות האישית שלך הפכה למכת מדינה. כל מושחת הופך שותף. ככל שיש לך תיק יותר גדול על מישהו, הוא יותר נוח לך. משפט של איש אחד לקח מדינה שלמה כבת ערובה. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, כי שכחת מה זה להיות יהודי. טראמפ החזיר חטופים במקומך, בזמן שאתה, בלי חשומה, התעסקת בלרתום אותו לחנינה. עשרות חטופים נרצחו ונהרגו בשבי, כשאתה לא קיימת את מצוות פדיון שבויים. חסר מצפון ובלי אלוהים. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הגזענות תמיד שירתה אותך. קראת אותנו מבפנים. הפכת חצי עם לאויב. אז נתניהו, אני המרוקאית, המסורתית ממגדל העמק אומרת לך, אנחנו נשבור את החומות שבנית. אנחנו ננקה את הרעל ששפכת פה 30 שנה. אנחנו נחזור להיות חברה.
Wow. That's just massive. And see him smirking in some way, that condescending look that he has in some way. I mean, maybe this is what we're all about to see. I mean, I guarantee we're going to see more about this stuff, of what's taking place, of what the fallout of all this stuff is. And we'll probably get answers very soon in some way. I mean, you know, the idea that we're not going to learn anything about this in some way, and that this was a huge mistake, a lie. I remember, and then I saw some people were suggesting that Iran was behind this in some way, and that they were using their proxies to set this up. When if there was a stand down order given and stuff, how did they know that this was going to happen unless he paid to set it up? That's the other thing we don't know. We don't know how big that goes. A lot of people just don't care. But, well, you got to consider, what did that lead to? Where we are now. I mean, is that going to come out?
Well, you know, the thing is, most people do not realize the control and power that Israel has had in this region for so long, for 60 years. They don't know that.
Right.
They're backed by the British Kingdom. They're backed by all the central banks. And that's, you know, this is all crumbling down. This guy wants to sit there with his hand over the freaking chair. He's kicking back. He thinks he's all cocky. It's all coming down.
Yeah, well, it's all coming down. I mean, it's definitely all shattering and stuff. You're just made to see it and be a participant and watching, and how this unfolds, you know, and where this belies in some way. How is President Trump going to react to like this? How about this one? What if President Trump is actually waging war against Israel using Iran as his proxy? This is a good one.
Siren sesleri çalmadı. Sirenlerle aynı anda bir hava saldırısı gerçekleşiyor şu anda. Sirenler önceden çalmadı bu kez, bakın. Şu anda sirenlerin sesini duymamızla füze saldırısının gerçekleşmesi arasında belki de saniyeler vardı. Yani bir saniyeden bahsediyorum. Sirenler duyulmadan, çünkü ben arkadaşlarıma uyaracağımı söylemiştim. Önce telefon.
All right. Enough of that. I think the point is that, you know, with all the barrage of stuff that is going back and forth between the two countries and stuff, and all the stuff that they're enduring right now, you'd have to consider in some way that's not a reasonable plausibility. You'd have to consider that in some way, that, you know, killing two birds with one stone in some way, both on two different, you know, the black and red ants, so to speak, theory. You know, all controlled by the same puppet hand. You know, they shake it up, they fight, and there you go. We stick our hand in the jar, which is the United States. What happens? We get bit. And that's what you got to consider. It's the pan that holds up the jar that shakes it. That's the Rothschild hand. That's the banking cartel. That is who is funding both these countries, and they're simultaneously being brought down to their knees. And that's what you're made to see. And I think a lot of people really, they conflate that. They don't see that. They don't understand that. They don't recognize that in such a way. And I think that's an important thing. I got to move on because I got to fast forward this. A couple more things, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you, Thea, for the 800 gold pills. I appreciate that. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill, comments, questions, concern. You can help out MarshallKo-Fi.com/surfdog74. Isn't war foolish? Yeah. Well, you know, war is inevitable. War is necessary when there is an end to those means. In this case, exposure. I mean, it's not this. I mean, we've been dealing with this for a long time. Whatever this end is that we're going to see, it's going to benefit us. There's no doubt about it. Nothing news. Yep. FBI seeks documents on Eric Swalwell's relationship with a Chinese spy. So all of a sudden now, according to the New York Times, the FBI personnel were directed over the weekend to review the files, apply light redactions, and forward them to senior Trump officials. The work is targeted for a completion date of sometime next week. Some internal discussions reportedly include the possibility of arranging a U.S. visa for Fang Fang to facilitate an interview, though no further details on what the idea has been confirmed in public reporting. An FBI spokesman stated that the Bureau prepares documents for numerous different reasons, including for release to different agencies and departments to further review the investigations that may be opened under previous administrations. Wow. So they're moving forward with this. They're possibly looking into the idea about his involvement with the Chinese spy. Where does that go? Where does that lead us to? I mean, after all this time, you're going to tell me there's not been any surveillance on him? They knew that he was doing this in some way. Someone was watching. Someone was keeping an eye on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The fact that it wasn't even already brought out right from the very beginning, and now all of a sudden we got to hear this shit. Come on, man.
After all these years?
Yeah, I don't even want to hear any more about that guy. You know,
Well, he's running for governor,
Oh.
so you would make sense.
That
They're gonna
is
get the
ridiculous.
background, and so they're going to look into this. You don't want a Chinese spy sleeping with a Chinese spy who was a congressman, but that was okay. But now
I
he's
don't
running for
think he's got a
governor.
ch-
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a chance in California.
No, well, according to them, he's up massively in the polls,
Oh,
but
it
I
looks
don't
like
buy that
the
at
other
all.
guy's up, man. It looks like
Yeah.
the Republicans up.
Well, again, the numbers over there, the polling,
Right,
the theft,
well,
the grift
yeah.
over there in that state, you can't tell shit from Shinola. That's the problem over there. So Slay News puts this out. The election worker arrested for stealing access tool just before Democrats win a Mar-a-Lago win. A Democrat elections volunteer has been arrested in Florida for allegedly stealing sensitive access tool and other vital equipment just days before Democrat Party won a district that includes President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residents within a razor-thin result. The arrest is raising fresh concerns about voter fraud following the Democrat candidate's shock special election. Authorities say the incident occurred in Palm Beach County on March 24th in special election. In the election, the Democrat candidate secured the victory by only 800 votes. John Panici, 59 of Lake Worth, Florida, was taken into custody Saturday evening. Investigators determined that Panici, a registered Democrat, no shit, in that area, had taken an encrypted key, access key, and other election-related equipment during a March 19 training session. According to law enforcement, the key was tied to a voter registration terminal used during the session. Wow. So what did he do? Do we know that he actually flipped the script on this in some way? What did he do? Officials acknowledged that while the keys were configured for training systems, there were serious concerns about its potential misuse. Like what? Like flipping votes? Investigators warned that a knowledgeable person could potentially reverse engineer the encryption and reintroduce the key into a voter registration kiosk for malicious purposes. After establishing probable cause, deputies executed a search warrant at Panici's home. They recovered stolen items along with multiple electronic digital storage devices. Panici has since been charged and is being held in Palm Beach County Jail on $6,000 bail. That's it. He's also been ordered to have no contact with supervisor elections. Yeah, this guy's in deep shit. And you know what? I wonder if he pleads out. I wonder if he admits his crimes. Okay. Did someone put him up to doing this? And look, are they going to investigate it? Florida should be investigating. It's the Attorney General for Florida should be investigating. Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, should be looking into this in some way. Because if there's discrepancies involved, you would have to have another special election win. Okay? And if you prove that he flipped those votes, then wouldn't you have to say that she won? Or is there more stuff about it? I haven't heard anything about this going forward. And you know what? You wonder why we scratch our head and say, what the hell is going on when it comes to our election systems? That's all you hear, that this guy was arrested and they want to keep this. They're still investigating. We don't know what the FBI is looking at right now. This guy has clammed up. We haven't seen anything. We haven't heard anything. I'd like to hear fresh eyes about this. What's going on about that special election? That was an important election. And so you're going to tell me that doesn't matter now? We got to be far removed and focus on the bigger picture here. Well, if you don't focus on these little battles here and there, then we've already lost the war.
It just goes to show you also with all the judges that we have around the country. These people are not, they're letting out people that murder white people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just straight up.
Yeah.
Murder a white person, you're a black guy, I'm a judge, I'm going to let you out.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over the country and is by design by a certain crowd. So this doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, I'd like to find out what's going on with this guy. I mean, what is going to happen with the election? Are they investigating the election in some way? I mean, are they going to revisit this and say the possibility that this election was stolen in the favor of a Democrat? You need to highlight that. So Bob Costa supports the IOC's decision to ban trans athletes for women's sports at the Olympics. Common sense is not transphobic. This is policy's common sense. The host of the 12th Olympic Games told CNN the story is that trans people should be treated with dignity and respect. No, they have fucking mental disease. There is no dignity and no respect. They need to be treated as what? mentally unstable, violent people. And you know what? You need to be far away from them as possible. But there's a reason why there are men's and women's sports. There's a reason why no trans man who was once a woman has become a man has ever competed successfully with men in Olympics. Exactly. Let's listen to this.
For so many years. This news today about the IOC basically banning trans athletes, that there's going to be a genetic test.
Yeah.
Your reaction to that and this very complicated issue?
Give me enough time to address this so I'm not misunderstood. There are people who use this issue cynically for political purposes, and they're demonizing people who happen to be trans, who should be treated with respect and dignity and understanding. However, common sense is not transphobic. There's a reason why the high school champions don't compete with the college champions. There is a reason why no trans man who was once a woman and has become a man has ever competed successfully with men in the Olympics. If Caitlin Clark could play in the NBA, everybody would applaud it. That'd be an incredible thing. But if the last guy on the bench of an NBA team went to the WNBA and started averaging 40 points a game, everyone would know that is BS. There's a reason why Sugar Ray Leonard, who was a contemporary of Mike Tyson, didn't fight Mike Tyson. They were in different weight classes. There is a reason why there are men's and women's sports, and why Title IX was one of the truly progressive pieces of legislation in the best sense of the word progressive under the Nixon administration. It changed everything. I had a sister who never played a single organized sport. One generation later, 2 children of my own. My daughter played just about as many organized sports as my son. That's a great thing. It doesn't make any sense to have a swimmer who was the 472nd ranked swimmer when he was a man at Penn, either winning or coming close to winning against women a year and a half after transitioning. If that's what the person wants to do, that person should be treated with dignity and respect. But there ought to be common sense, and common sense is not transphobic.
And this policy is common sense.
Yes, this policy, the way Kirsty Coventry laid it out from
Yeah.
Lausanne in the clip that you played is exactly correct.
See, they're not fully there. Well, at least they get the gist of it, all this stuff, because they got to be politically correct and say they deserve the dignity and respect. Okay. You know, because they can't actually tell the truth of what these people are. Mentally unstable, violent people that has a proven track record to murder large groups of people, especially Christians, white Christians, and young kids. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it as a weak sellout. I mean, the guy was selling out, man. You know, I mean, I guess he was trying to, redeem him, make some kind of point, but it was a sellout in the end. I mean, he just didn't.
Well, Bob Costas, Bob Costas basically was being politically
still
correct.
Play the game.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I can't go to the next level. But you're saying it's common sense. It's common sense. I mean, it's sick and twisted that men dress up like women to play in sports to beat them out. That's a mental disease, okay? Because you failed as a man, all right, to do the thing that you were supposed to do in a men's competition, or you're just sick and twisted that you want to be closer to women, so you have the viability to want to play touchy-feely and do a lot of other, let's just say, salacious things. That's the other thing. Be in a locker room, take a piss with them. All these wonderful things. So it's not just one thing or that thing. All right. This is sick and twisted. These people are evil. That's fucking Satan's army. The fact that you give them quarter to suggest they deserve dignity and respect, they deserve none of that. None of that. In the summer fears, three nuclear scientists go missing, are tracked to Ukraine. This is the last bit tonight, by Jack Ryan, are killed after reassembling a plutonium-based nuclear device, a lost Israeli bomb. Later in the movie, the bomb detonated in Baltimore, followed by the big payback revenge. The sequence at the end, the song Nessun Dona. In recent views, there's been a cluster of high-profile cases involving missing dead scientists. Think about this, and I'll show you one article about this, but we'll dip out. Nuna Lorurio, dead. Carl Grimmer, Jason Thomas disappeared. Remains were found. March 17, 2026. Monica Jacinti Resi vanished. Retired Air Force Major General William Neil McCaslin, remember that? Vanished. Melissa Cassius vanished. And then on 3/27/20 26 at 9:17. Scavino posted the Nessim door as Trump exited Air Force One. Something is off. Let's play this. How about that? If the uranium materials ended up in Syria, what would be the primary purpose? Interesting. Another staging ground? Uranium to Iran to Syria? Is it even on Iran? That's a good point. That's something we didn't consider about Syria, why they're always launching missiles over there in some way. Do they have the uranium? You think in some way they have a portion of the uranium? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I can't answer that. But, all those missing scientists or people that have, let's just say, knowledge of UFOs or classified subject matter, either dead or missing, it's really odd in some way. And yes, it makes the argument about the movie in some way. 3 Russian scientists just go missing to Ukraine, build a bomb, and they're killed off so the bomb could come out. So were these people hired in some way to do something, to create something, and then from that staging point, move the bomb into position somewhere else, or radiological? I don't know if they have enough of a nuclear, or what they were saying, 470 kilograms. I'm not a scientist. I wouldn't know what the amount is, but could they build something else, something close to that? I'm not sure. I don't understand that in any way, but there is a lot of things that we're just not addressing, we're not looking at, and we're all jumping the gun, suggesting that we have the inside baseball, so to speak, knowledge of how and what is taking place, and we don't. We just really don't. We're still surrounded by the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity that surrounds this war. And so that's why many people are left scratching their head, pulling their hair out, lighting themselves on fire, self-immolating. They're freaking out, pointing fingers at each other, telling people to go fuck off and die, all the crazy stuff, and basically just at each other's throats. And people need to take a step back, breathe, relax, watch this play out. It's going to be okay.
It's that simple, Brett. You just got to let it go, and don't get your knee jerk.
Mhm.
Always avoid the knee jerk reactions. Don't let yourself get freaked out
Yeah.
over something that Trump said, because he says a lot of crazy shit, but you don't let yourself react like that. You don't let the liberals do that. That's their job.
Yeah.
Our job is to stay focused and just be like, look, he's saying this for a reason. We're going to go along. We're going to see how it plays out. The smartest way to roll about this is to do like you just said. Let it roll. Let it play out. Watch it. Don't freak out. I think we're heading into the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, we are. Dog over here. So basically, all nuclear material is trackable, traceable, like a DNA from origination. Yes, from the source, whether it came from the U.S., Israel, or so on. Yes, absolutely. Just like the movie was showcasing, know exactly where it came from. And so the question is, where did this amount of uranium come from? And that's a good point. Is it pointing to us, or did it come from Israel? All right, and think about where Israel's came from stolen material. All right, from the United States. So if Israel gave it to them, and then hence here we are. And that's another problem as well. So yes, there are a lot of details involved and stuff. But that's tonight's show. We will return on Wednesday. Any parting thoughts, Marshall? I want to thank everybody out there for contributing. Want to help out Marshall on the way out? Ko-fi.com/SurfDog74. Thank you, Thea, Wood USA, Darla L. Any parting thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm glad you had a good birthday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you broke your bike, get it worked on. And, it's all good.
Yeah.
Everybody relax.
Well, we did 10 miles, and it's just like, when
Yeah.
you do those road bikes, they can get easily, you go fast on this. And
Yeah. And
yeah.
everybody just relax. Let it play. I think we're all good.
I think so too.
I'm feeling very comfy. I'm feeling very comfy.
I'm not worried about the whole thing in Iran, that it's going to pop up. I'm not worried about all the 50,000 or 100,000. I think all that stuff is staging numbers. I think that is just to convince you that something will take place. Look, if something is happening on the ground, it already happened. Okay? No, I'm serious. It already happened, and you were not aware of it. You weren't told of it because of the reason why. You know, right? For this very reason, very particular reason of how everybody's flipping out. And I would imagine, I would just bet on everything. Get me a poly marker right now and see what that is, that there are individual nested people on the ground. I see the media say all the time that we have no intelligence on the ground whatsoever. Do you buy that? Do you believe that at all? And we can't count on Israeli intelligence, as a lot of people speculate and stuff. You're going to say to us that we have no way to listen to, just like we had Maduro. We have no eyes, no ears, no nothing. We don't know where he is. We can't hear him in some way. You're going to tell me we don't have that in Iran. I just don't buy it at all. Well, that's our show. Have a great evening. We'll return on Wednesday. Ciao, Bella. Take care. God bless. Peace.
Good night.